You know, every single week we meet parents who are just exhausted. Not just from what their child is going through, but from trying everything. Behavior charts, diet changes, therapies, different strategies, and still their child is struggling to calm down, struggling to sleep, struggling with transitions, emotions, sensory overload. And eventually, they end up with labels: ADHD, anxiety, autism. And here's the part that's really hard. Those labels come with more appointments, more plans, more things to manage. But no one is really explaining why this is happening in the first place. So what I want to do today is give you a different way to understand what's going on. Because what we see in so many of these kids is something we call busy brain. And I want you to picture this just for a second. Your child's nervous system has two main modes. There's gas pedal and brake pedal. The gas pedal is that go, go, go mode. That is fight or flight, that is alert, that is reactive. Now, that brake pedal, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. That is calm, that is connected, that is able to rest, process, regulate. And what's happening with these kids is that gas pedal is just stuck down all the time. So even when things seem small to you, to them, it feels overwhelming because their system is already maxed out. That's why transitions are so hard. That's why little things turn into big meltdowns. That's why sleep is so much of a struggle. It's not behavior, it's capacity. Their nervous system doesn't have the ability to slow things down. And when you see it through that lens, a lot more things start to make more and more sense. Those sensory issues, covering the ears, avoiding textures, or needing constant movement. That movement, that's actually their body trying to regulate. The emotional swings, those big reactions, that's not them being dramatic. That's a brain that can't de-escalate because it's stuck on the gas pedal. Even for speech and focus struggles, those require a calm, organized brain. And when the system is stuck in that stress mode, on that gas pedal that we're talking about, there just isn't enough bandwidth for that when talking about speech and focus struggles. So then the question becomes, how did this system get this way? And this is what we call the perfect storm. Sometimes it starts off in pregnancy, where stress, hormones can actually shape how the baby's brain develops. And then, and then we have birth, which can put physical stress on that upper neck, right where the nervous system is most vulnerable. And then there's early childhood. That's where more stress begins to layer in, like illnesses, antibiotics, sleep issues, those environmental stressors. And over time, just like that, it begins to build layer by layer by layer until that nervous system gets stuck in protection mode, stuck on that gas pedal. And here's where this really matters for families, because most of the things that you've been doing, they're not wrong. They're amazing. I'm talking OT. I'm talking speech, behavioral strategies, all these tools. Those are so gosh dang valuable. But if the nervous system is still stuck, it's like trying to push a car with the parking brake on. Your child is trying, no doubt. The therapist is trying, no doubt. I know you are trying and want results, but the system itself is working against you. So what changes when we address the foundation? This is where neurologically focused chiropractic care comes into play. We use these things called insight scanning technology that actually measure what's going on with your child's nervous system, where the stress is, how much is there, how it's affecting their function, how much are they on that gas pedal. And then we use very gentle, specific adjustments. We work to release tension and interference, especially in that upper neck region. So the body and so the brain and the body can finally communicate with one another in the way that it was supposed to. And when that happens, everything else starts to work better. I'm talking improvements of sleep, meltdowns, those then decrease. Focus, that gets better. Those therapies that used to feel stuck, they start to click. So many wins when it starts to regulate, because now your child actually has the capacity to learn, to regulate, to grow. So if your child feels like they're stuck in this cycle, I'm talking the meltdowns, the sensory struggles, the sleepless nights, I want you to hear this. Your child, they're not broken. They're not. They're just stuck in this stress mode. And I want you to know that there is a path forward. And here's this. You don't have to stop everything else that you're doing, but it might be time to look at what's actually happening underneath it all. And so if this sounds like your child, I invite you, please reach out. Keep asking those questions. We'd be happy to help walk them through them with you, or even take the next steps when you're ready. Because your child doesn't need more labels. They need answers.